Hi, hope everybody's doing okay. We're gonna go through a quick project today, something I kind of thought of, just trying to think of some fun things to do during this crazy time. Essentially, I'm gonna do something that I hope will entertain my daughter for a little while, and maybe you guys can have some fun with it too if you have this stuff sitting around. I guess before I get started too, I guess my real hope for this video too is that you're not watching it during this corona crisis, that you're watching it at some time. Maybe it's just a rainy day and you're doing this and you're not forced to be stuck at home or staying at home because of the craziness that's going on. So thank you very much for my assistant here. Say hello.
Hello.
All right, just got the wiffle ball that we need to get started here. And what is this? What's this?
LED light.
It's an LED light. Okay, so we're going to take an LED light. I happen to have a bunch of these from a pack that I bought off of Amazon. I want to say it was like $12 for like 400 or 500 pieces of a variety of different colors. I did leave them at work, of course, so I'm stuck with a few that I happen to have sitting around attached to my daughter's old Valentine's Day heart that she's giving me a dirty look for. Sorry, sweetie. I'm going to borrow one, okay? Thanks. So one LED, you can find them on a number of different toys too if you don't happen to have them, or you could just buy them off of Amazon. And then you're going to need a coin cell battery. In this case, we're using the kind of standard 2032s, which are pretty popular watch batteries, if you will. And again, get these off of Amazon. They do sell these in almost any store, CVS and whatnot, but they're way more expensive in the stores than they are on Amazon. So check that out. So what we're basically going to do is light up the LED, tape it onto this wiffle ball, put a string around it, turn the lights off, spin it around, have some fun. The other thing that I was thinking about doing, and unfortunately I don't have the cool LEDs. Thanks, just turned the light off already. The cool LEDs is to take some of the LEDs that I have that actually blink. They change colors anyway, and then just kind of hang them from a string, spin them around, and you can watch the different colors. You already have a light. Let's see that light. That's a cool light. What do you use that for?
I use it to see in the dark when we get out of our camp tent.
Yeah, nice when you get out of your camp tent, right? Because we're camping in the basement these days. Hopefully it'll get warm. We can camp in the backyard. Anyway, you can take a whole bunch of these lights, stick them onto your wiffle ball, or any ball for that matter, put them on a string, kind of hang them around to make this kind of cool environment. You could bounce them around, turn the lights off. So we'll see if I get that far. But in the meantime, in the first place rather, I'm just going to take the one, spin it around, have some fun, see what goes. All right, so check it out. All right, so we have our LED. LED stands for light emitting diode. A diode is a pretty standard electrical device. It essentially blocks current from flowing in one direction. So it means that this is a polarized device. In other words, it has a positive side and a negative side. So when you connect it to your battery, if you connect it incorrectly, it is not going to actually work. Or I should say, it is working the way a diode should work by blocking the current, but in this case it's a light emitting one, so you don't want it to block the current. So you want it to be able to light up. So when you look closely at your LED, you'll notice that one leg is a little bit longer than the other one, and that one is the positive. So when you have your battery, it has a positive and negative side, and you just want to stick your LED on there so that way the positive is touching the positive side, negative is touching the negative, and if you flip it around, nothing's going to happen, right? So it's, again, doing what diodes are sometimes designed to do, and that's blocking the flow of current, so you won't see any light being emitted because of that. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our LED, put some tape on it, put it on here, put a string on it, spin it around, see what it looks like. So grab my tape and put it on. Hey, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I noticed in this video. The first thing is if you buy your LEDs, they're going to come with a rating for their voltage associated with them, or at least they should. If they don't buy them. And in that rating, you're going to probably be confused as to how you're taking one of these 3-volt coin cell batteries. And of course, these are the 3-volt ones. They do come in different voltages. I prefer these. You can also make 3 volts if you wanted to by stacking 2 AA or AAA batteries one on top of the other. In this particular project, I'm not quite sure how that would work out. That would be a little bit tricky because you're going to be tying it to a ball and swinging it around, or possibly using it to hit the ball, and that might go flying off. Or if you do stack them, that connection in between is pretty fragile, so you want to make sure that if you do that, then you tape them together really tightly and I wouldn't recommend putting them on a ball in the first place. Anyway, so your LEDs are going to come with some sort of listing. So for example, here is the LED list that I got, the pack that I got, and it says for the red ones, it has a forward voltage of 2 to 2.2 volts. And so I'm taking 3-volt batteries and I'm attaching them to these 2.2 volts, and they work. Okay, that's all I can say. No resistors required. That might lessen the length of time that they will live, possibly. I honestly don't really care. They're cheap enough. They're getting the job done, and to be honest, they're not lasting for like a very short period of time. They're actually lasting for a pretty long period of time, so I'm not really concerned. I don't know, and I should know, because I feel like this is something standard, but I'm not quite sure. I did try to look it up to figure out an exact answer. There's a lot of confusing information out there. What I will tell you, though, and this is the reason why I wanted to kind of chime in here, is that if you connect your 3-volt battery to your LEDs and they pop, and I would watch them as you're making the connection to see what happens, because you might think, oh, that didn't work, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. You can see a little pop, a little, sometimes a small puff of smoke comes out, especially if you attach them to a 9-volt battery, which I would not recommend doing. But anyway, if that happens, then obviously that's not designed for that type of battery. So you might want to add a resistor to it. They do sell packs of LEDs that do come with resistors, so you'll get your pack of resistors that actually have the value of resistance that is required for those particular LEDs. So if you're not interested in finding out any kind of math equation, or solving any math equation for that matter during this time, you just really want to have some fun, have a glowing wiffle ball, then go right ahead and order the ones that come with resistors. But honestly, if you buy the LEDs and the 3-volt batteries, they should work, especially if you buy the pack, because the pack that I bought anyway actually has blue and green ones that are rated for 3 to 3.2 volts each. So if your red ones blow out because of the connection, then the blue and the green ones should work no problem. Actually, the white ones are also rated 3 to 3.2, so you should be fine without any resistors whatsoever. Like I said, I happen to leave mine at work, and I don't feel like driving back there to get them, so I'm using leftover ones that I just happened to take off an old project. So anyway, go for it, have some fun. I realized too that the other thing I didn't even mention is, you're making a wiffle ball that lights up, which is pretty cool, and I just came up with this idea to hang it in my basement where my kid can run around and play with it. She's 3 years old, so she goes to bed early, typically before the sun goes down at this time. So I didn't even think about going outside at nighttime and hitting these around, but you can go out at nighttime and play really cool nighttime wiffle ball too, which is another fun thing that you could do with probably the most obvious thing that you could do with this. The last thing I wanted to mention too, while I'm thinking about it and I'm on it, I used Gorilla Tape to connect the components to the wiffle ball. I would strongly, no pun intended, recommend that, because it is very strong tape. I would not recommend using something like masking tape, unless, if you are just hanging from the ceiling, whatever. But if you are going to swing it around, or if you do plan on hitting it in particular, I would definitely recommend, the strongest tape, and probably use like a good amount of it to make sure that it's got a good seal and doesn't send the LED or the battery flying off in any direction. Okay? Anyway, that's about it, and now back to our video. All right, so got my tape, LED, put the positive to positive, negative to negative, tape it on so it stays on. Look at that. And then another piece of tape, and I'm going to try to get it inside, because I feel like that's going to look a little bit cooler. So you can kind of poke the LED in there, and then just get another piece of tape to hold it on. That one's not quite long enough. I feel like if I spin that around too fast, it's going to fly right off. Don't want that to happen. Okay, get the dirty hair off of it. All right, so there you go. There's your ball with the LED inside of it, and found some random string that I am going to attempt to tie the wiffle ball through, which might be harder than I expect, since that was kind of easy. All right, so tie the string on, my fancy knots here. Okay, and there you go. Pretty cool. Let's turn the light off and see how that looks. Not bad. Let's see what it looks like when we actually spin it around in here. It's kind of light out now, so maybe I'll wait till later to do it, but we'll try. All right, I'm not gonna wait till later. Here you go, little sample. If I feel like adding it on, adding to it later, maybe I will, but you kind of get the point. Not bad. And again, what I was thinking is just taking a whole bunch of them and kind of dangling them around from the ceiling, and then having like maybe even lowering them, then my daughter can run, bump into them, so that way they're all kind of wobbling around. I think when it's really dark out, it'll be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, can I have it for a second?
Yeah, sure, go right ahead. Kind of cool, right? What do you think? All right, we're outside. We're going to test them out. It's sort of late. The sun's down at least. So, unfortunately, kids are not really willing to come outside because it's kind of cold and rainy. Here, throw one. Just throw one. Take one and throw it. Oh, cool. All right. So we're going to try again. I know, I'm torturing my children just for this cool video. Ready? Whoosh. Awesome. All right, so you could obviously play a sweet game of wiffle ball with these.